We'll record.
Don't record me on a heated moment. It's like flights are the worst. We never said that we wouldn't say anything about airline companies. American right now, I hate you.
Yeah, fair enough.
We won't say anything bad about insurance companies because of our channel, but American Airlines sucks right now. Please do not fly American.
I find it unlikely that American Airlines is going to ever find our videos and force us to take them down. But if they force us to take this one down, it's because of Matt. Thanks, Matt.
I got that. Sorry for my appearance. I'm actually flying to Las Vegas tomorrow for a conference, which, side note, I want to bring it up again. Nick doesn't like conferences, but we'll get into that. So I'm sorry for my appearance. I had to leave work a little bit early to get my hair cut. Speaking of cut, people seem to cut a lot of corners and don't have a proper presentation. They try to cut a lot of time out of the house and have no idea what they're doing, instead of just having a proper presentation and learning how to sell final expense properly.
I kind of like that segue, Matt.
Wasn't that bad?
That was kind of nice.
It's kind of nice. But yeah, side note, speaking of conferences, Nick, not such a big fan. And I'm not, you know what we're talking about.
It has been, my attitude on this has been, I think, widely misinterpreted by people who have an agenda. By people who want to sell you conferences. And my problem is that I don't have a problem with going to conferences. I don't have a problem with meeting people and networking with people and, getting to know folks and making friends and connections. I think all that's great. I have a problem with people selling you conferences. I have a problem with people selling new agents and saying, hey, if you don't show up to this conference, you, Mr. Agent who's been in the business for 6 months, you won't be able to maximize your sales and you won't ever be successful. Taking time away from the field and shutting off your leads for a week, or not shutting off your leads for a week and just letting them build up, and going to this conference will make you so much more money than just going and doing your job. And I have a problem with that attitude and that pitch. And not everything gets pitched that way. Not everyone is to blame for that type of attitude. Not everything is a three-ring circus. Some things are a three-ring circus, and there are a lot of people who are trying to be P.T. Barnum, and they are trying to sell you their conference. And this isn't what we're talking about today. I'm just saying, a lot of people out there trying to sell you their conference because it makes them money and not because it's good for you, which is not to say that every insurance gathering and get together is a bad thing. And for certain types of people, some of these conferences are probably good things. Conventions are valuable. Conferences can be valuable, but you've got to be the right person, and it's got to be at the right time, and it's got to be the right thing, and you're going for the right reasons.
You know what they don't sell you or teach you a lot of times at conferences?
How to give a proper sales presentation?
Presentations, Nick. They don't teach you about presentation.
Segue
part 2.
There's an excellent book. And I don't know if this is why the book is called this, but there's an excellent book that I always think about when people are bringing up this whole conversation, which is called "You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar,"
okay.
which is about the Sandler sales system, which includes a presentation. And it's an old book. I mean, it was originally written in the 70s and became very popular in the 80s. And we might do a book club recording about it someday, if we ever actually do the book club recordings at all.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my attitude, is like, you're not going to learn to sell at a sales seminar.
No.
There are a lot of things that will teach you to sell, unless it is actually like a seminar geared towards the system that you are trying to implement. And I would say that if whatever system, like if you are an agent whose organization uses the Al Granum one card method and they want to send you to a one card sales system seminar to learn to utilize the one card method, I don't know if anybody even does that anymore, but if they do, or if somebody's going to send you to a Sandler sales system method or whatever, that's a valuable thing to do because that's the system you're trying to work, and it's a valuable thing to learn. Going to random insurance recruiters magical seminar that sometimes is free. I mean, Equita puts them on for free. Or sometimes will cost you a couple $1,000 in, when everything is said and done, is probably not the best use of funds for anybody who is not also in the marketing side of things.
Got it. I'm going to title this video, Nick hates
conferences. Yeah, I know.
That'll get enough attention if you haven't already gotten enough attention from other people.
All I said was when somebody posted on Facebook, I want to go to as many as I possibly can this year. All I said was, why would you do that instead of go sell? People get very mad at me.
Yeah, well, sometimes, being the guy that says the right thing is the guy that's hated.
Mm-hmm.
But
gonna do?
You're right in some ways, and I'll disagree with you in some. And I promise we don't have to talk about this anymore.
Okay.
I've met many people at conferences who have helped me in further my career.
Sure.
But you're right. Most conferences that I've been to did not teach me how to sell final expense. They did teach me other things.
Sure.
Yeah. But conferences are a thing that not are just in insurance. They're everywhere.
Absolutely.
But one thing most conferences will not teach you is a presentation, Nick. So let's talk about presentations. You got to have one.
Yes.
Have to.
Yes. If you don't have a presentation, I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. And yet, how many people go out there with no presentation? Like lots. Like a poll was taken on Facebook. We're talking a lot about Facebook today. Sorry. I know not everybody that watches this is on Facebook, but a poll was taken in one of the Facebook groups that has like multiple thousands of members about what do you use a presentation. And I was shocked at how like hundreds of agents don't have any sort of presentation system.
I have no idea.
And I don't know if they just don't think of what they're doing as a presentation, or if they're legitimately just showing up with no plan of attack whatsoever. Because to me, that's what that means. Like you're saying, I don't have a presentation. It means you're just showing up and saying, want to buy some insurance?
Correct. And unfortunately, it's because a lot of recruiters are selling the dream online on Facebook. Sorry, bring up Facebook again, or on YouTube,
conferences,
or on YouTube, and saying we're hiring hundreds of people. We have more leads than we know what to do with. We have more leads than agents. We need help. All you have to do is get your license and sign up, and you can make 6 to 7 to 8 figures per year. They make it seem that easy. So whenever an agent buys the leads, they go through the process to buy the leads, they get in front of a house, and the client goes, yeah, I don't want it. They don't know what to do.
Right.
They get stuck. They have no idea where they're going to go. But, and that, again, it starts from the start of like when you buy your leads, how you buy your leads, what kind of leads you're buying, the conversation that you're having to set the appointment, which I believe you say that, the presentation starts on the phone.
Yeah.
But even more, let's talk about the real presentation of like, you sit down with Miss Jones. What are you going to do? And if your thought process is, hey, Miss Jones, you filled this out. Why? you're going to lose like
Right.
90% of the time. Only like 10%, maybe even less than 10%. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. Go, yeah, I really wanted some insurance. I need some insurance right now.
It will definitely happen to you.
But
right.
But you won't be profitable in that business model.
No, it'll take, right. Like, I mean, you will definitely get maybe 1 out of 20 if you go see every person that sent in a card and you knock on all their doors and you make sure you get in front of all 20 of them. One of them is going to say, "Thank God you showed up. I need some insurance."
Yeah, please sell me insurance.
So, and if you're okay with making 1 sale a week, off of 20 leads.
Yeah.
Good enough. You don't need a presentation.
I hope your leads cost $1.
Right.
But they're not. Yeah, it's just, I'm trying to think the best way. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know. I've never walked into a house ever and that person has been like checkbook. Like the recruiters are telling people like they're checkbook ready. They want insurance. They know what it's about. All this stuff, and it's just not.
Doesn't exist.
But your presentation should be very simple, and by that I mean your presentation to tell the person about what you're trying to sell, whether it be mortgage protection, final expense, or a conceptual sell like what are they pitching nowadays?
Infinite banking.
Infinite banking. Yeah.
Let's use infinite banking because that's real complicated.
It is real complicated, but even that, you shouldn't overcomplicate it to the client.
Nope.
If you wanted to sell me on infinite banking, or at least get me enough to be like, wow, that blows my mind. I need more illustrations. You should be able to show me infinite banking in a 15-minute window. So I'm like, oh yeah, I want to learn more, or I definitely want to learn more. Because
the reality is, humans cannot absorb information for more than about 15 minutes at a time before they kind of stop.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that, like, there's a lot of data about that. If you're younger, if you're talking to somebody who's like 19, you got maybe 20 minutes. If they're older, you're talking to somebody who's like 60, you got like 7.
But even I kind of disagree on the younger people, because we got this. Sometimes, Nick, we're doing this, and I'm checking my phone. I've got
you've got to actually get their attention in the first place if they're younger, right? But if you get their attention and they're focused and they're paying attention to you, you've got about 20 minutes before they stop being physically capable of absorbing information.
And you got to not just get their attention, but keep their attention.
Right.
Right. And that's where we're talking about. You got to have a presentation like book or iPad that you're something to show physical to the client, because like Nick was talking about the other day, like he takes this pin, and we're creatures of habit. So I go, Miss J, I traveled all the way over here just to get you this thing. People are going to go, right? So I can like make you pay attention. So I'm like, hey, Miss Jones, like, check this out. Right.
If you point at something, people will look at what you're pointing to.
They want it. People are curious by nature.
If you hand them something, they will look at it.
Yeah.
You have to have a level of control. Like, you don't want to hand them like a presentation sheet for them to take away, and then like you're rattling on about them and they're kind of like looking at the sheet and they're flipping it over and looking what's on the back.
Because they don't understand it.
Then they're not paying attention to you.
You need to talk about the rising costs in funerals, and you're pointing to the rising costs in funerals, where it's a very simple graph, where back in the day, Miss Jones, it was real low. Nowadays, definitely higher. Years from now, it's going to be higher, right?
You know who was great at that? Go if you watch the video that we did on the Ben Feldman video.
Yes.
You can watch him with a presentation book and watch how he controls where the people are looking, when they're looking at him, when they're looking at the presentation book. And he's not giving control of the presentation materials over to the prospect. He's there sitting next to the prospect with them, sharing the space with them, kind of knee to knee, and taking charge. Yeah. And for me, that's what a presentation means. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going through a long lecture.
No.
Right? It means that you have a plan and that you are guiding your prospect through a series of mental checkpoints to take them from who is this person who showed up at my door to
what is this about?
I am going to give this person my checking account information.
Yeah.
And you are guiding them through that process, and you're building trust, and you're demonstrating expertise, and you are getting them to commit to a reason why they are interested in talking to you in the first place, and you are getting them to make a decision about buying. And it's
Today.
You funnel them through the process, and you go chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, chunk 4, check please.
And you can do it in 15 to 20 minutes.
Phew, you can do it in 7.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be convoluted.
And the other point of presentation is it's also your own mental checklist of, I've gotten to this point, and sometimes, believe it or not, our clients will try to veer you off, like we've talked about, and you have to know what part of the presentation you're on, grab their attention again, put them back to where you want to go, and move on with your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have a presentation, you don't know where you're at. You just get lost.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck sitting there with the client, kind of like watching daytime television with them with no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. To me, it seems fundamental. Like when people started saying that, oh, I don't have a presentation at all, or some of them were like, I don't believe in presentations.
A lot of them said that the presentation book confuses clients.
Yeah, that's also weird to me. And I get like it can be confusing if your materials are confusing, right? If you're confusing, if your materials are confusing, I get it. You can confuse people,
but you don't have to.
But you don't have to. I think back to when I first started in this. I remember walking in. I was cold calling. I did nothing but and I was not on the phone. Like I was going around knocking on people's doors and walking into businesses and cold calling. And I walked into, I don't even remember what this guy sold, but I walked into the shop of somebody who was in sales. But they sold like goods. They sold, like mattresses or something.
Sure.
I struck up a conversation with them as I was taught to do, talk to them about the people that I work with in the area, talk to them about, all the clients that we have and all the benefits that we bring and, what I do and how long I've been doing it and asking him questions about himself and, getting some back and forth going on. And at a certain point, he was like, you know what? I am so impressed that you are at your age willing to sell something like insurance. That is such a tough racket. At the end of the day, you're selling air. Like it is, I would never do it. I'm selling a thing. You walk in here, there's a price tag, I hand you the thing, you're just selling air. Yeah. How do you ever get anybody to buy from you? And that is stuck with me.
Yeah.
For forever. Because we are. We're selling an idea at the end. I mean, the coverage is real, but you're basically selling the hope that somebody is going to write a check to these people's loved ones after they've died.
Years from now.
Hopefully decades from now, right? But definitely after they're dead.
Yeah, I think of the Wolf of the Wall Street where it's Matthew McConaughey. Where it's like, it's all Fugazi. Just, we're just selling literal nothing. They see you. You're the only person. The only thing they're buying is you because it's the only thing they can see, right?
Right.
They're seeing you. You're coming in. You're having a conversation. You're showing them a few graphs. You're writing stuff down on a piece of paper, and then they give you a check, and then they get another piece of paper that says, "When you die in this period of time, or based on this, your family's going to get this as long as everything you told me was not a lie."
Right.
That's insurance. transfer of risk is at the end of the day. But
yeah, right.
That's what we're selling, and you're right. It is an odd sale. I didn't think about it like that deep. I thought about it of like, yeah, we're actually selling. It's one of the only products that I know of, and maybe there's another one where it's the only thing that you never get to see, you never get to use, or final expense insurance at least. I know with like return of premium term, you can use it, right, or all these other stuff.
Infinite banking, IULs,
blah,
blah, blah.
I'm talking about final expense.
Mm-hmm.
Final expense is something that you should never get to use yourself.
No. You're selling hope, right?
It's the most selfless thing that person can do.
Yeah.
And I tell them that. This is the most selfless thing you can ever do. You take care of everything else in your life. You've done everything. This is the last thing that you have to do.
Yeah.
And they buy it every time. But at that part of my presentation, I've already told them about they've done all these things. They've handled all this stuff. You've gotten to this point by doing what you've done, and this is the last thing that you want to do. You would agree with me? Yes. Okay, great. Now we're moving on. Like I've got, and I'll say this: I don't use a presentation book anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten well enough that I can do it with a, legal pad
mm-hmm.
and a pen, and I can write out. I can write the chart. I'm like, term is going to go like this, blah blah blah, and I can write all that out. Mm-hmm. And if you go look back, and I wish I had them, I have stacks of legal pads for every presentation that I've done since I've stopped using my flip chart book.
Yeah.
And it's every client, their amounts of their coverages and all that stuff and the markings that I've did, but every time it's all the same. If you look at all my stuff, it's all exactly the same over and over and over and over. And it's a presentation.
Yeah. And that's and so we get asked a lot, hey, why don't you go through your presentation? And the reality is, I don't like the idea of people Frankensteining together presentations. I don't think it's a good idea. If you don't know what you're doing, really, like if you are at the stage where you're asking, hey, can I see your presentation? You're probably not in a position to be making a determination about which pieces of the presentation are good and which pieces are bad. And you're probably not in a position to determine how different presentations might be able to fit together and how to take a little bit from here and a little bit from there and make something new. Because there's a really good possibility that you take a little bit from here and a little bit from there and you make something that doesn't work.
Yes.
So that being said, you should be in a system that has a sales system. Like we talked about at the beginning, using the Algranum one card system or the Sandler sales system, using, upfront contracts and whatever.
Savage on selling system.
Yeah. Using John Savage's system, or, you use, Matt Mungia's system, or, if you are with a group, heck, Family First Life, they've got a sales system, right? It's free on YouTube. You can go watch it. Whatever organization you're working with, there should be a sales system. There should be a presentation that they have available for you. If there's not, there are other questions that you need to start asking yourself and getting answers for.
Yeah. I'll say this. Most places, most reputable IMOs have some sort of presentation. The problem in lies is when you start trying to go, well, this didn't work for me today, so it might not work for me ever again. And I'm going to go look at somebody else's system. I had a guy that was working in our home office. We have a call center doing stuff over the phone, and it was not working out from him. right?
Mhm.
And he decided he wanted to go work with another IMO. And I went, I wish you would have talked to me if you wanted to sit on the field. He's like, I'm going to go sit on the field. And I said, well, I wish you would have talked to me first, but if you want to go sell with them, that's perfectly fine. I said, but forget everything that we have taught you for over the phone sales, throw it out the window.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing.
And only listen to what they are telling you to do. And you'll be successful.
Yeah.
If you do. But if you don't, it's on you.
Yeah.
And he understood that. So what I was basically saying is our presentation, the sales process that you have on the phone presentation is totally different from what you're going to see in the field. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We're beating a dead horse here. I mean, your sales I'm trying to think of the best way to without saying my sales presentation, I'm trying to give you the best thing, which is get in a home. Here's why people normally fill this out. Which one is you? Here's what we do, Miss Jones. Let me explain who I am. Okay. What I do.
Right.
Okay. Let me educate you and show you why I do what I do and who I am. Let me educate you on the types of life insurance. Which one do you think is best for you? Final expense. Okay. Let me talk about what it costs to bury somebody and your options. Which option you think is best for you? Whole life final expense. Great. Let me show you how to qualify. That is the most, that's not my presentation. There's more that goes in that. There's thought processes and things and charts and stuff, but that's the process. I want to find out your why. I'm going to tell you the who. I'm going to educate you. I'm going to tell you the options. And I'm going to close you.
Yeah. You know, there's the famous John Savage sales presentation, which is more or less, I think, true. And I know our guest John Duggar uses a variation of this, and this is something I was taught early on, which says that, you know, and you say this to the client, you know, there are only 4 questions that anybody needs to answer in order to make a decision. How much? What kind? Who from? And when? You know, and so then his presentation goes about literally saying, how much? An amount you can easily afford. What kind? We only recommend whole life insurance. Who from? Well, we work with every company in the state. We'll find you the company that's best for you. It's only going to be an amount you can easily afford. And when? Why wait? You never know what could happen to you tomorrow.
Yep.
You know, that's not a complicated presentation.
No.
But it really does answer any question that anybody would need. You know, it answers everything, right?
Yeah. Presentations are designed to keep you on track and your client on track, and that's it.
You know, and so it's important that you have one. It's I don't know, maybe don't think of it as a presentation. Maybe you feel like sales presentations are old-fashioned and people want something more consultative. Great, that's fine. You're still presenting something. You still have a plan of attack. If you changed the word presentation to plan for the meeting, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not giving a presentation, but I'm going into the meeting with a plan of what I'm planning on discussing and how I'm planning on discussing it and the order in which I'm planning on showing things. You have a presentation. That is a presentation. You don't, I don't know. Don't let yourself get bogged down in minutia. There's no reason why you can't be consultative if that's what you want and still have a sales presentation.
Yeah. Going back to the Ben Feldman video, and he had his presentation binder and he was with the client knocking, right? He built that presentation binder for that one specific client on that one specific day. Mm-hmm. When he went to another client, he had another presentation binder for that one specific client.
Yeah.
because it talked about their finances and what was going on in their life.
Right.
With Final Expense, you can get away with one book.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Heck,
That's
I
how
don't even
important
use
your
it.
presentation
Yeah.
is.
I don't even use a flip chart. Like my presentation isn't designed around a flip chart. You know, I use a single sheet. I have materials that I use because having something visual to lock onto takes away from that fear of buying air.
You got big check, little check?
I don't use big check, little check, but big check, little check would work if you worked it, right?
Yeah.
It all works if you work it. The key is
Consistency.
And like, you have to buy the system.
You have to believe in
right.
you have to believe in your own consultation book or your own presentation book. You have to you have to understand why it works. You have to actually think about what it's doing and why it's doing it.
Yeah.
If you're just reading off the page, if you're like if you're this guy, hey, Miss Jones, I want to read to you about state regulated final expense. If you don't know it, if you can't go like this or go through your whole thing and talk without even looking, you don't have it down. You need to have it down like cat. Practice on your cat, practice on your dog, practice on your wife, practice in your mirror. Like Damon said.
Practice.
Damon, friend of the show.
Also, great video.
Great video. Go watch that. His thing was he's like, I collapsed my time frames where everybody else gave their presentation in the field. I gave my presentation hundreds and thousands of times in the mirror until I couldn't speak, and he got really good at it.
Yeah.
Right? You have to practice, whether it be an actual client, which is preferred. But before you go out there and screw it up with the client and not make a sale, practice on somebody else.
Get comfortable.
Yeah.
You're going to spend a lot of time doing things that you are uncomfortable with and being in situations that are uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're going to be in Final Expense, you're going to be having to use that presentation, you're going to have that track while there's bugs crawling all over you and smoke being blown in your face and all these wild things are going to be happening. You need to be on track. And if all that's like throwing you off and you can't stay on track, then you're going to lose long term.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody blow smoke in your face. I'm just saying, there's going to be,
right.
you're going to go into a house where it smells awful. Right?
Right. Or, I mean, even in it is uncomfortable to walk up to somebody that you met literally 10 minutes ago and say, hey, go get me your checkbook.
Yeah.
That's not a comfortable thing.
No,
right?
And it's also uncomfortable
it takes practice.
Yeah, it's also uncomfortable going with people. And this is when people ask me what I do. I say, in the nicest way, I walk up to old people and tell them they're going to die and that they need insurance for their burial.
Yeah.
That's what we do. It's an odd thing. And they go, I could never do that. And I'm like, you're probably right. You probably couldn't. It takes a special person. And if you're watching this, you're a special person. You can do this. You got your license. You just have to believe in yourself, believe in your company, believe in your IMO, and believe in your presentation. If you do that, you can make sales too. I promise you. This is not a motivational video. It's not what Nick and I do, but we're trying to just really do two things. Tell you one thing, buy leads.
Please buy leads.
Please buy leads. It's going to help you. Secondly, believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it'll help you so much more.
If you're not sold, nobody's going to buy from you.
Nope. So, guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us at theinsurancepanel@gmail.com or go on our Facebook group, our Twitter, our Reddit, anything else that we have. Find us or just put them down in the comments if you want to go through all those things. Put your questions down in the comments. Put them
in the comments.
Put your comments down in the comments. Let us know what you thought about the video. And please
thumbs up, like.
Thumbs up, yeah, thumbs up, like, share, notification, all that stuff. And if you don't have a presentation book, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want to say that I'll give you my presentation book because I don't want to be that. I don't want people to just email me to see my presentation. I don't want that.
Yeah.
But if you're like in an absolute rut and nobody is helping you, reach out. And
seriously,
I'll give you the book.
But I mean, like, more importantly, like if you're in an absolute rut and nobody's helping you, like, get help.
Get help.
Like, you don't need to stay there. You don't, like, this is not a recruiting pitch, because I don't want you to work for me. Matt probably doesn't want you to work for him, but like, do something. Get support.
Seek mentorship, seek help. If you don't have any of the things that we just talked about, you need help. Consider reaching out to somebody and saying, you know what, these are the things I need. Can you provide them to me? And you'll be a success. You can be a more successful agent. But listen to what those people are telling you. I have an unorthodox presentation, but it works.
Yeah.
It totally works. So,
yeah.
Anyways, guys, talk to you soon. Be great. Be profitable.
Interesting sign off. Nice. All right. See you later.